planet Earth, the place that we call home, but for some years now people are suspecting that we are harming our planet. For example, deforestation, pollution, and the human population increase. Hello, my name is Max. I am with the CSIRO, and we'll be tackling the known problems of human population increase, deforestation, pollution, and resource shortages. And we'll be finding out if these problems will affect us in the year 2050. Before I talk about the known problems, I'm going to ask people some questions.
What do you think is going to happen by the year 2050?
Nothing.
Why do you reckon that?
I don't know why something's going to happen.
Have you ever watched like movies and TV shows about the future?
Yes.
And you know how they're all devastating?
Yes.
And you think it's just going to be all dandy and fine in real life?
Most likely, yes. It's been fine until now.
Bloody hell. By the year 2050, what do you think is going to happen?
Possible migration to Mars, because you never know!
What do you think will happen in 2050?
If man is still alive, there would be rise in sea levels. The Ice Age could be coming. Who knows?
The first problem I'll be talking about is the human population increase. So, how did the population increase so much? During the 1800s to 2016, the human population had a massive rise. Well, in the 1800s, the life expectancy of a young person was low. In fact, in 1850, the average life expectancy was between 38.3 years and 58 years if the child made it to 10 years old. So many families would have many children, but only few of them reach adulthood due to diseases and illness. The average family now has 2.5 children, and now since the amount of children families are getting lower, we should not worry too much about the population increase in the future. The second problem I'll be talking about is deforestation. You may think of deforestation as trees being cut down and that's it, but the truth is that some countries actually plant new trees after they cut some down. This is a graph I made with Gapminder and Microsoft Excel. You can see that the United States is increasing their forest area, while Brazil is decreasing, and you can see Australia barely changing their level of forest area. The third problem is pollution. Do you think pollution is a big problem with all of the damages to our air, the ocean, and other things in our planet? In fact, the trees are greener than ever with the extra carbon in the air from air pollution. This is a phenomenon called the greening of the earth. Trees are a carbon-based organism that feeds on the carbon and turns it into oxygen for life on the planet. So, therefore, I think we should be all good with air pollution in 2050. The proof is that CO2 levels are rising significantly. Here is a graph from NASA. You can see here there is a sawtooth pattern with the amount of CO2. But on the end of the graph, it's a massive spike of CO2 in the atmosphere. This amount of CO2 will be feeding on the plants of Earth and making them grow faster and produce more oxygen. The fourth and final problem I'll be talking about is resource shortages. The problem with our planet is that we have limited resources. For example, limited fossil fuels such as coal, natural gases, and oil. If fossil fuels are running dangerously low, we could have a resource war. The war can be very devastating to our resources and will be costly for our future. But if there is a resource war for fossil fuels, the likely outcome of the war is an apocalyptic landscape. Resources will be scarce. People will be fighting for resources like in Mad Max when they fight over fuel for transport. Okay, back on track. So how much resources do we have now and back then? Let's have a look at natural gases. This graph shows a bigger amount of natural gases, but by 2050 the production can be drastically lower because we're extracting it faster than it being naturally produced. I think that in 2050 that there are some potential risks with our natural supplies, with the potential 9 billion people in our population by 2050. If so many people live at once, the natural resources being consumed over a long period of time can be threatened. One solution can be renewable energy products like solar power or wind turbines, for example. The MacArthur Wind Farm in Victoria have a wind turbine with the capacity of producing 420 milliwatts of energy. Instead of a fossil-fueled power car, how about a solar-powered car? For example, an electric car like the Tesla Model S, Nissan Leaf, or BMW i3. Instead of power lines, how about solar-powered banks? We could make more efficient technology in the future, but I think we should start planning the ways to make renewable energy sources. But this could change the greening of the Earth phenomenon drastically if we don't even use sources that turn into CO2. The Earth could get more brown/yellow, like a savanna or desert. In 2050, I think we should look after our natural resources. We can do this by using renewable energy sources. And if we make this change for the future, we use less natural resources and use more renewable energy, we could possibly have a better and brighter future. But only time will tell. My name is Max, and have a wonderful day.